stream brought to you by Novellus. This is day 11 of Wimbledon, and we've had another cracking day at Wimbledon. Just finished there actually with our mixed doubles champions in Sem Verbeek and Katerina Siniakova. Hard to believe that that's her first Grand Slam mixed doubles. She's got 10 women's doubles, as Sem said in his speech, rightly so, a legend of the doubles game. We're going to get into doubles. We've got lots to talk about doubles. There's been a lot of emotion today with doubles, including the mixed doubles. And I've got Will Buchek, who will be joining me in about 30 minutes. But first, I will have Mel South, former top 100 player and now commentator on many places, who is joining me. And as I speak, here she is. A big welcome, Mel. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I've had a really good day. Just finished watching some more tennis and won't say what's happened just in case you haven't announced yet. So I'll leave that till later.
More emotion. There's been
Yes.
it's been the day of emotion in many ways, and that's I think for the viewer, that's what we like to see, right? And that's why we all love our sport so much.
Yeah, we really do. It just means so much to everyone, especially at Wimbledon. And as a British player as well, being kind of at your home slam, even now as a commentator, it's just so special to see. And there's just so many players that it means so much to.
We talked about, Mel, earlier. We've been talking most days on the live stream, and one of the things we said actually pre-Wimbledon is you don't often see players that experience such high emotion that tears come out through happiness. That's what we talked about. Other than qualifying for Grand Slams, it feels like that was the time when we often saw it. Since I've said that, I feel like every time I watch a match or turn on the TV, there seems to be this kind of outcry of emotion, whether it was Kaboli and his family the other day. Obviously we just had their Sem Verbeek as he won the mixed doubles, singing happy birthday to his dad at the end. And it feels maybe Wimbledon brings that out still more than any of the other slams. It seems to just cut a little bit deeper for all of these players.
Yeah, I think Wimbledon itself, just as soon as you walk through the gates, whether you're a spectator, a player, a coach, or whatever your role is, it's just got this magical aura about it. Everyone seems to just feel it. And I think for the players, especially the ones that have got emotional, they've more often than not got a story, whether that's injuries, whether it's family, things off court that have affected them on court. And I think the longevity of the sport now means that everyone's facing adversity at some point in
Yeah.
their careers. So when they're hitting these big wins, whether it's just a first round win for some people or winning the mixed doubles slam and it's your first ever slam, it's just incredible for them. And it really makes all that hard work that's away from the public eye
Yeah.
worthwhile.
And again, and we are going to jump into the women's singles. Obviously, we had quite contrasting matches today in the women's semi-finals. But I also think what Wimbledon seems to do so well, and this is a big shout out to the British public and the tennis fans out there, is how much they appreciate the sport, and the stadiums or the courts get filled. Because I know you can have a mixed doubles final. I was part of one in 2023 as a coach. It was highly emotional as well when Anna and Harry won, but the Arthur Ashe Stadium was maybe a quarter full. So it's hard to quite build that atmosphere. Roland Garros, often mixed doubles final, will have very few people there. Whereas for these players to have that special feeling, or if it's out on court 12, people are queuing up to get in. Why is it that British sports fans, because we do it well, we should sing it from the rooftops, the same with the 2012 Olympics. We just seem to go mad for sport, mad for live sport. It seems like we've almost got that over anyone else in the world, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just whether we publicize it really well and get it out there, whether it's just part of our growing up that we all tend to play a sport, whether it's be part of a team, or if you don't play sport, then you support, whether that's a football team or the tennis team or the Brits. I think Olympics really gets us going because
Yeah.
it is all about your country and then supporting that. And then we've seen so many Brits do well, especially in tennis at Wimbledon now. So for that, you can just really get behind your home nation and country.
And moving into the women's semi-finals, I have a bit of a long-standing joke on this podcast that Anisimova is my dark horse. She's been my
Yeah.
dark horse forever.
Yeah.
The panelists that I have will not give it to me on the WhatsApp group
Oh.
because they said she's world number 8.
Yeah.
But it goes back. You know what? It goes back to the time. It would have been, I want to say, 2015 or 16 Junior Wimbledon. I was working with a Hungarian player, Panna Udvari, and it was her last year of juniors, and she played the 15-year-old Amanda Anisimova, and I think she was the number 2 seed even at 15. And I just watched in awe as this ball came off the strings, thinking, oh my goodness, like there's no doubt in my mind this girl is going to go on and win the real deal Grand Slams, and obviously
Yeah.
she's had her ups and downs. How much of that match did you see today? She's obviously taken out the world number 1 Arina Sabalenka 6-4 in the third set, served for the match again at 5-3, got pulled back to 5-4. Love 40 up, thinking, oh my goodness, here we go again. And then she managed to pull out an unbelievable forehand cross court that seemed so effortless, but the ball just flew off the strings. And she's the real deal. She's now in a Wimbledon final. Tell us a little bit about that match.
Yeah, firstly, I'm going to give it to you, Dan, because I think you have supported her long term there and really seen her from the beginning. I think that ball strike we've always seen has worked, but it's been about the management of everything. She had the hardship of her father passing away, the mental health struggles over the years. So to see her do well, she was actually really relaxed at the end of it. It was so lovely to see because I think she could have been one of the players that would be really emotional having got to this stage. But I think she just has so much trust in her team and her game now, and that ball strike is just another level. It's something that I think at times, as Sabalenka, we speak about her power, but it didn't seem to phase Anisimova, and I think that's what caused her a lot of troubles out on the court for Sabalenka there today. And a huge talent. I was actually out. I was following the scoreline live stream because I was
Yeah.
out watching Mimi Zhu playing the junior girl singles.
Who's
So
through
I
to the
went back.
semi-finals?
Yeah, she's through. She did fantastically well. It was out on court 3. I was absolutely melting out there because it was another very hot day at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
So I went back in and watched the final third set, and Anisimova did so well to hold her nerve because when the number 1 is coming back at you, it can be easy to start to lose belief in yourself. But she didn't. She just kept hitting it, and I think so fitting that she hit a winner to finish the job.
Does she have a better ball strike than Sabalenka?
I think it's up there. I think in terms of the timing for me, yes. I think that
Easier.
pure, yes, yeah. It just kind of comes off the strings, like you say, and there's still that real sound and crunch into it. I think for Sabalenka, she's really built such a strong foundation and has this kind of power that comes all through her body into the racket. But Anisimova is a lot more, yeah, it looks effortless. It's not. It's a lot of hard work as well, but the
Yeah.
timing is there for sure.
And then we had, I guess, like I said, the contrasting semi-final. Iga Swiatek, who we've all written off because she's dropped to world number 8. So, see you later, Iga. And maybe that's what she needed, right? I think maybe she needed, I've talked about this last night with Candy Reid. She needed a bit of a reset, and it feels like she's had that reset. There is the cynics out there that say, but she played Towson and Towson was ill. She played Bencic and Bencic had a problem with a toe. But at the end of the day, she's found herself into another Grand Slam final, and it felt like I didn't see much of that match, but it felt like a pretty foregone conclusion from the word go, really.
Yeah, I went out and watched that match live on Centre Court, and it was just another level. I've never seen Swiatek play like that before. I think a lot of people have kind of written her off grass courts in the past, but she did
Yep.
win the juniors 7 years ago. So we knew she had that in her, but she almost just completely lost confidence and belief in herself. She hadn't been past a quarterfinal before for someone that's been top of the world for so long. We were kind of surprised about that. I also think because she went out, it wasn't early in the French Open, but because she went out at the semi-final stage, when you win a slam, there's so much more press and everything you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously the elation and that emotion and then the release. And there's not long between the French Open and Wimbledon. So
Yeah.
I actually think it could have been a positive for her, the fact she went out at the semi-final stage. She went and had a few days training on the grass, then went and played a tournament that she got through to the end rounds, got some matches under her belt. And she's actually said about not having long between that tournament and coming into Wimbledon that she almost didn't have time to get nervous. It was
Yeah.
1 or 2 days at Orangi and she was straight into match mode. So it's worked well and it's going to be a good final.
I think that's interesting as well, isn't it? Is that you hear people talking about how they prepare. I heard a story on Holger Rune last year in Australia that he was staying in a certain hotel up until a certain date, and then he then decided to change hotel just before the tournament started. You have all these different ways, right? And I would
Yeah.
imagine Novak's done all sorts of craziness over the years as well. But it's not often you do get the top players playing an event the week before. And it's interesting that Iga's said that. And I would say, especially on the women's side, where maybe those 7 best of 3 matches over 14, 13 days isn't quite as demanding as potentially playing the best of 5. So do you think that might change a little bit how some of the women are looking at their preparation for Grand Slams moving forward?
Yeah, maybe. I think for some it works, for some it doesn't. In general, when I've been commentating, I've often said if someone's done well the week right before, they've actually had not much time to practice and tend not to do as well, and they've been a bit more fatigued if they're going all the way and it's almost 3 weeks of playing in a row. But she herself has said it's worked for her and it's shown evidence. I mean, she was just full steam ahead today at Bencic. Bencic will feel like she played badly, but Swiatek was just going for winners on every ball, stepping in, timing it perfectly, was super aggressive. And the forehand that's been a problem on the grass before, that's looked a little rushed, maybe due to the weather as well and the grass courts playing harder, but it's really helped her and it's looking great.
And then we got the final on Saturday. They haven't played each other in the pro ranks, is from what I believe. They did play in the Fed Cup Juniors, where Iga won. Iga's played 5 Grand Slam finals and never lost to one. Anisimova to her first Grand Slam final. Is this going to be experience, or is this just going to be raw ball striking that wins on Saturday?
I think it's just going to be who turns up better on the day. If Swiatek plays like she did today, I just can't see anyone getting past her. So Anisimova's left in the draw. She's got the ball strike to hurt her. If there's some nerves, I've seen it from great champions before. I've watched Serena play a couple of finals where she's just completely tightened up. The feet have gone, the legs aren't moving, and then you can't get that good ball strike on the court. I think for Anisimova, it's almost a free swing. It's something that they both want so much. Neither of them have won Wimbledon before, and for Anisimova, she wants a Grand Slam title. So it's, can you play with freedom to go after your dreams, or are you a little bit scared and have that just inner nerves and the butterflies that take over your body, or can you push past it? But both of them will be doing a lot of mental preparation in this next day to get ready for it.
So you got to get off that fence, Mel. Who's your pick?
It's
Who is
on.
your pick for Saturday?
It's on the day, but I'm calling Swiatek on how she played today. It was just so good.
I can't go against my girl now.
No,
Do you
you
know
have
what I
to
mean?
stick.
I've waited 5 years for this.
Yeah.
5 years for this moment. So Mel has Iga. I have Anisimova on Saturday. I think it's going to be a cracking final. I really do, and I think not many people called this final. And I think that also is the beauty of our sport, right? We've seen and obviously been much talked about the seeds that are going out. We've got a men's doubles finalist, which I'll be talking about with Will shortly. There were alternates into the event. We've got a mixed doubles champion who I think a year ago he was ranked maybe even outside the top 100 in the world in Semba Beek. The sport, not that you're that long retired, Mel. I'm a lot longer retired than yourself, but the sport just seems to be just getting better and better and deeper, huh?
Yeah, it really does. Every Wimbledon, I always think, oh, I want to play again. Yeah, I want to be out there. And then I look at how physically fit they are, how strong they are. It's simply incredible. Like, even watching Mimi Zhu, she's 17, yet she is so physically strong. But then the step up, and then seeing, this is why I like watching the juniors, to see who's going to be the next into these big Grand Slam finals, who's your picks, the new youngsters. There's only one seed left in the semi-finals for the girls' semi-finals. So it's all to play for, but just, yeah, there's a lot of training, a lot of hard work, a lot of teamwork, and I think it
Yeah.
helps that the money is increased because players are able to put more into their tennis then and how they're going to get up the ladder.
And on Mimi, the girl she beat today had won French Open? Is it the
Yes,
girl?
Lily
Yeah,
Tagger.
yeah,
She
they
beat
won the
Hannah Klugman.
single-handed girl.
Yes,
Yes, and Mimi now plays Pareja in
yes,
the semi-finals. Hannah Klugman went out today in the quarterfinals. Talking about there's been a lot of talk about Hannah Klugman. I guess in terms of I actually look at it when I look at it. I think the Emma Raducanu Sene cartel thing. There was so much talk about Emma Raducanu, but then Sene was just kind of chipping away.
yeah.
That's for me a little bit how we've looked at Klugman and Mimi as well. You know, that Klugman's
Okay.
the one everyone's talking about,
Yeah.
but then Mimi seems to be certainly getting the results, and she's a one to watch. Tell us a little bit more, because I know you've had a lot to do with her over the years as well.
Well, not too much, personally. Through lockdown, I did hit with her out on park courts when we all couldn't do too much. And already then, she wanted to be a pro, and I asked her dreams. Originally, she said top 100, and I know that wasn't good enough as my goal for tennis. So I said, what do you really want? And she said to win a Grand Slam. So I mentioned to own it. And when she comes back to Swansea, even now, she'll hit with my husband, Craig. And you just see the professionalism, what she puts into it. She's meticulous with everything she does. And she's with her coach, Nigel Sears, now. And I mentioned to him just walking into Wimbledon the other day, even when she's back in Swansea, everything is so professional. I think for her standard, she's getting on with everything she does. Her mum Wendy's with her travelling now and helps her to achieve everything she wants. And I think it's that hard work that eventually pays off. And sometimes it is good being under the radar, but that match against Amarada Kanu on court number 1 put her a little bit in headlights. And I know
Absolutely.
the first couple of rounds, her breathing was quite heavy. She was definitely feeling the nerves, but now she's starting to really put this big hitting game on court. And she's got a tough semi-final. Pareja is also 320 in the WTA ranking. She's the youngest semi-finalist at a tour event this year since
Yeah.
Coco Gauff won the Linz title in 2019. She did that in Bogota. So she's a good player and plays really good tennis, fast, quick, takes the ball early. So Mimi Xu's going to want to try and attack it out there.
I can't let it slide what you said. The mentality of, you know, that the top 100 wasn't enough in your
Yeah.
mind. Is that again, that's something I've talked a lot about on the podcast, and I certainly experienced this. Do you think you set the ceiling too low when you were a player?
Definitely, but I think it's all see it to believe it. And at my time, there was always kind of maybe one just inside the top 100, and that's what you
Yeah.
viewed, and you deemed that as making it, and you were told to get to the Grand Slams. And I got there, and it was such hard work to get there. So I completely I'm in awe of everyone that does this right now. And then to stay up there when you've got that kind of target on your back is just so impressive. But for these youngsters now, they've got Sonne, Emma, Katie, all up there in the top 50. So already I think that ceiling's changed or the goals changed from 100 to 50. But like I say, Mimi, when we spoke, wants to win a slam. Hannah Klugman's mentioned it. Mika's won a junior slam. So why wouldn't you then go on to believe? And I think that system is being put in place. And I think the fact that these girls as youngsters saw Emma almost come out of nowhere and just go
Mm-hmm.
qualifying into winning a slam when she wasn't that much older than them, then they've all got this real belief of, well, it can happen.
It's the 4 minute mile thing, isn't it? The
Yeah.
4 minute mile. Roger Bannister, it was the first person to run a 4 minute mile, and then within the next month, something like 30 people had done it.
Yeah,
You know, so
definitely.
we waited forever, and it's that whole bit of just allowing yourself to kind of shoot, just keep shooting for the stars rather than putting. I just thought that was interesting. We will delve into that, Mel, when I get
Yeah.
you on to do a full episode with you soon, which we've been
Okay.
promising to do for a while.
Yes.
Before I lose you, I want to move to tomorrow and just get your thoughts. We have a Taylor Fritz, Carlos Alcaraz semi-final, first up at 1:30, their first grass court meeting. Taylor Fritz looked like he was on his way out well and truly about 10 days ago. You know, and I was waiting for transport at about 10 p.m. and I was just watching Perricard about to serve the match out at 5-2 in the tiebreak. He serves at 150 mile an hour, so that wasn't going to be a problem. But Taylor Fritz managed to wiggle his way back into that match, and he's still going. Does Fritz have a chance against Alcaraz tomorrow?
Oh, I think it's like you say, the underdog going under the radar. I personally don't give him a chance. I give him a chance to win a set. So I think Alcaraz will do it in 4 tomorrow. I just can't see that he's not going to be back in the final. But Fritz will definitely be doing everything he can. Like you say, he's a dangerous game, but Alcaraz at the moment I think's got a little bit too much.
I think so as well. I actually think tomorrow will come down to physicality a little bit. It's going to be a hot day.
Yeah.
I think Fritz, that's where those 5-set early rounds. I know Alcaraz had a 5-set at the start of his tournament as well, but Fritz had 2 or 3 long matches, a lot of emotional energy spent, and someone was saying it's going to be 32, 33 degrees again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can maybe see it going to a 5th set though. I think Fritz has the ability, but I'm just not sure over 5 sets he gets through. And then it's leading up to the match. I think that is the one really tomorrow. You know, I think it's the one on the men's side that we've all been looking at in the draw when the draw was made. I think anyone that's close to tennis could see that Novak Djokovic was ready. You know, he was getting in the zone, and anyone that's around tennis, I think, knows that almost nobody can beat Yannick Sinner apart from Carlos Alcaraz or maybe a Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon. It's his 14th Wimbledon semi-final, the most ever in history. He's never lost to Sinner on grass, including beating him in 2022 and 2023. How do you see that one going?
Well, as a commentator now, I like all those stats, don't I? So I'm going to go with Djokovic as well for that one. But it's been 50-50, everyone that I've asked. I think both of them will be having a little look at the elbow of Sinner. It looked good in the last round, but you could see it had taping under the sleeve as well. I know he pointed to it the once with a little niggle. But also Djokovic having that slip at the end of his last match. We'll just have to see how that's kind of recovered. Hopefully it's nothing and it can be all about the tennis out there in the semi-final. But I'm going for a rematch in the final of Djokovic against Alcaraz.
I don't like to agree with my guests, but I picked Djokovic at the start. I picked him at the start. I'm not about to jump off that train. I've seen his intensity in the locker room, in the player gym. He means business. I think he knows. I think he knows he's running out of time to get number 25, and I don't think there's going to be any stone unturned. You know, but it'll come down to tennis, and that's the doubt I have in my head because yes. I do think Yannick Sinner is a better tennis player right now. You know, so I'm looking forward to it. Mel, you've been a star. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know you have all day talking tennis, so to spare us 20 minutes is amazing. All the best with the rest of Wimbledon, and hopefully we will get you on again very soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Mel. Take care. And now, guys, moving into doubles. My favorite thing. Anybody in live stream as well, just remember you can ask your questions. Get your questions in if you have questions. We've got lots to talk about, and you know we mentioned there a little bit around the emotion of the doubles, and I can maybe a counselling session here on Control the Controllables. There's definitely been a tear in my eye more than once today, and that's come actually from the three doubles matches that have happened today. We had the men's semi-finals. First up, we had Rinky Hijikata and David Pell, who were the alternates, but not just were the alternates. It's a strange pairing. It's, you know, you just wouldn't put them together. They've never played together. I coach Michael Venus and Nikola Mektic, as many of you know, and that was the section that my guys were also in. I could see them having results, taking out seeds, and I thought today, no chance, you know, against Pavic and Aravello. Not no chance, but just Pavic and Aravello seemed to have that. Anyone that watched that match, you absolutely should watch it all. Go back and watch it. And if you've only got 2 minutes, put it on at 7-9 in the match tiebreak at 6-all in the third set. And what unfolded from that moment, where I think I won't say who, but I had a text message. I said, "Did you see that match? Did you watch it?" And this person texted me back. Here's Will. A big welcome, Will. How are you?
Hey, Dan. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You've got to go with my enthusiasm, and then I'm going to throw it to you on the first men's doubles here. And this person I text, I'll tell you off camera, Will, but I texted him and said, "Did you see that?" And he went, "Yeah, Hijikata and Pell threw that away. They had chances." I said, "What are you talking about? They won." And this person switched off the TV at 7-9. And then we saw Rinky play an unbelievable point to get to 9-all. You have to then watch what happened at 9-all. David Pell, 82 in the world, has won one match in his last 5 challenges going into the event. You know, this is the depth that we now have, not just on the singles tour, but the doubles tour as well. He had his chance. Any kids that watch tennis, 9-all, second serve return, forehand body, there was no regrets in what he did. He picked his spot. He nailed his spot. He gave us a little jig as he ran off. He ran off to the side, and then match point, I'll leave you to watch, but that was an incredible point. And I'm going to bring you in, Will, and what I'm going to bring you in with is your tweet today, which I loved your tweet today. And we obviously have talked a lot of doubles. I'm trying to pull it up here. I thought I took a photo of it, but here we go. Screw the rule changes. We don't need faster matches. The service partner does not need to start behind the service line. This Wimbledon crowd is going absolutely wild. The product is fantastic. We just need marketing.
That's right. Yeah, this example, the match today was perfect. The first match, especially. Rinky had the crowd just going nuts with his shot making ability. And he's I had another tweet earlier in the day, but he's one of the most entertaining. I mean, I guess you'd call him a doubles player. He plays a lot of singles too, but he's had his two biggest results on the doubles court for sure.
We'll take him.
And yeah, exactly. And he plays a brand of doubles that is just very exciting to watch because he's not the tallest person, so he doesn't cover a lot of area at the net. And he takes a lot of risk, it seems like, at the baseline. So his shot making is just electric. And when he has it going on his returns and his ground strokes, it just makes for such fun doubles. And that's what we saw today. And you see a crowd going crazy like that. And what I like to do is imagine that I'm not a tennis fan. I've never watched tennis in my life, but let's say I'm a business person or somebody who's, very well versed in other sports, for example. And if you watch that, you can't help but think there's something here. You've got a product, you've got a sport that works because these fans are going crazy and they're loving it. And if you look at the Wimbledon social media channels, they've basically just not posted about doubles at all. So it's like, you see a match like that, and then you look at the marketing, and you're like, "There's just a huge disconnect here." And we've talked about it before, so I don't want to come on your podcast and complain. But
we're
it was
sending
just
positive vibes today. We're sending the positive doubles vibes.
Yeah, it was a great example. It was a great example.
And I think, Will, on that, I think I said this last night on the show. I love the 6-all 10-point tiebreak, and
me too.
And I think I actually looked it up. I didn't see how many best of the 6-all tiebreaks we've had, but in the men's doubles this year, there's been 51, I believe, tiebreaks now. In the event, it seems like I know I was on the bad end of one of them as a coach. With Mike Venus and Nikola Mektic, but it seems like there's been a lot of key matches have come down to that match tiebreak, that 6-all. And let me just explain why I like it so much. Because some people could say, well, just have a product where you just now play tie breaks. It's not that. It's the build-up. So if we take Glasspool Cash yesterday against Heliovara Patton, the fact that they saved 3 match points at 6-5 down to go into the match tiebreak is the building of the excitement. And then you're hit with this 10-point tiebreak that just more often than not brings incredible excitement, and I'm completely with you. We know that the product's incredible. And I was there watching that. I have no link to David Pell or Rinky Ichikada. I have no personal relationship. I do have a personal relationship with Mate and Cello, but not to the stage where I would necessarily get emotional over one of their tennis matches. And I sat there with tears in my eyes watching that match as it unfolds, to see the raw excitement, to see the feeling that they had, and that is something just really special that we've got to bottle up. And it seems like Wimbledon are getting it right as well. The finals have been moved to 1 p.m. before the singles finals this year as well, which is shining a stronger light, I believe, on them as well. And then we move in, before we move into the second semi-final, this team needed 2 teams to pull out. They weren't the first alternate. So anyone that doesn't understand that, they entered the tournament. They weren't in the tournament, but they turn up and sign in. And each day, and if someone pulls out, the first person then takes their place. Only pulls out in the first round. They needed 2 teams to pull out, which is normal. You probably get between 2 and 4, I would imagine, in a major event. But that just incredible to be coming from that position and not have any experience playing together. Freddie Nielsen, who's always on the show, texted me today, and he was like, "What? Like, this is incredible." But you wouldn't put them together. Who would ever put Pell and Hijikata together? Like, where's this come from? It's not even a team you think about. But incredible, huh?
Yeah. The stars have kind of aligned, and I think earlier in the tournament they were down match points as well in like
They
one
were
or two
first round.
matches.
They to
Okay.
Verbeek and Goranson.
Yeah.
They saved, I believe, 3 match points in that first round.
Right. And I think, like I said earlier, I think Rinky especially, he just plays a style of doubles when he's got it going, it's very, very difficult to beat because he is so good from the back of the court and on returns. He takes the ball really early and hugs the baseline, so he takes your racket out of your hand when you're the net player. You're still gonna get some put away volleys and be able to hit some, but you'll make a few less of them because you're reacting a bit quicker and the ball's getting to you a bit quicker because he hits it so hard and so early. And it's risky, and when it doesn't work, it's not good. But when it works, it is so fun to watch, and it's working these couple of weeks here at Wimbledon.
And the second men's semi-final, not quite as exciting for the neutral, but I have to admit I had tears in my eyes once again, thinking of a young Lloyd Glasspool that I coached from the age of 10 years old, to see now that he is in a Wimbledon final. And also the other personal note for me is actually Julian Cash's coach, Luke Hammond, and a big shout out to Luke. I coached him from 5 years old. So they're two people that have been a big part of our family, really, kind of growing up, and to see those guys now, and not be surprised in the slightest. I do believe right now that on these quicker courts, on the grass courts, Lloyd and Julian are the best team in the world. They've proven that the last few weeks. Lloyd has had just a quite incredible year, as has Julian. That was obviously a 6-3, 6-4 victory in just 64 minutes. They had 2 break points. They converted their 2 break points. It felt like Granola Tobias couldn't even get a sniff on the serves. Their serving is just quite out of the world right now. Julian Cash is serving 1-3-4s. They're hitting spots. They're being brave on their second serves. And I don't know. I think it's hard to see if they can hold their nerve. It's hard to see them not picking up a Wimbledon title on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think if they can hold their nerve, they put on a serving masterclass today. So I looked up the stats. They had 11 aces to 0 for Granollers and Ceballos. They lost 9 points on their serve in 10 service games, so less than 1 point per service game. And yeah, it's going to come down to can they even get close to that same level of serving in the final. If they do, they'll win. But it's the final. It's Wimbledon. Nerves can play a factor, and we'll see how that impacts everything.
Well, I can say I sat there at the side of the court, which was a weird experience for me in the Queen's final. It was the first time I coached against Lloyd after pretty much working with him for 20 years. And he said it was weird as well to keep hearing me shouting out. And he was like, "Oh, what's going on?" That's Stan's voice. They put on a serving masterclass in that match against Smektic and Venus. And it was in the match tiebreak, they hit 8 out of 8 first serves, 3 aces, 4 unreturnables that showed chalk, so that hit the lines. The boys managed to get 1 return in play where they then hit a good volley, and Mike just hit the tape and that was the first point in the tiebreak. So this is not a kind of one-off. This is something that they've been doing now for a while. They've been hitting their spots for a while. They're both returning well as well. What are the key things for people to look out for in that final, outside of, I guess, the obvious of how well Julian and Lloyd, if they're able to maintain those serves?
Yeah, I mean, I think first serve percentage is going to be massive for them. So we talked about Rinky being able to return really well. Pell as well has been returning really well also. So I feel like first serve percentage for them is going to be big. And if Rinky and Pell can extend the rallies a bit and just get into some of the service games a bit more, or their return games a bit more, they're going to have a chance. But the Cash and Glasspool are the home team, so the crowd's going to be going the other direction from the first semifinal today. So it'll be interesting to see how the nerves hold up and the serves hold up. I think that's definitely the biggest factor for me.
First all British male pair in the final of Wimbledon for 65 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know we've had lots of Brits that have been have teamed up with someone else, but the first all British pair, which does change things a little bit as well. So we've got that to look forward to, and then I want to finish. We have to talk about the mixed doubles, which is just finished. I think the most amazing thing about the mixed doubles final, actually, another great match, another great spectacle, another great crowd, another match full of emotion and more speeches full of emotion, and just showing how much this sport means to so many. But Siniakova, the 10-time women's doubles winning Siniakova, who is just a quite incredible competitor, it's her first mixed doubles title, and that seems a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, it's surprising.
But I have a theory. I have a theory. You talk, and then I'll give my theory.
I've got some theories. I'm sure it's a combination of these. So I was chatting with somebody on Twitter the other day about this, and they asked how many times has Siniakova returned in the ad court during mixed doubles? Because a lot of times she plays mixed and returns deuce, but in women's she's always ad, right? So I found one match in the U.S. Open 2023 when she was returning ad. I didn't look at every single tournament for the last 10 years or anything like that, but the times I remember her playing
what
mixed,
kind of research is that for Control the Controllables? Will, come on, put some effort in.
If you know where all of the mixed doubles research data is, then I'll look it all up. I think it is non-existent. But yeah, I remember her returning deuce a lot in mixed doubles, so I think that's probably a factor. There might be things about her game style. I haven't thought a whole lot about it. They contribute to being better at women's doubles versus mixed doubles. What are your thoughts?
I think I think that's a really good point. Although my girls, Gabby and Erin, have played her on the deuce court, and she was very good on the deuce court. I was like, whoa, where's this come from? She was pretty special on that side as well, if I'm honest. But my theory actually is the men aren't good at asking. So because if they were better and they didn't have such egos, why wouldn't you be asking Siniakova? I mean, look, there's a lot of very good women's doubles players out there, but it's crazy that, again, I got to repeat it, the 10-time Grand Slam champion, who's won with various partners on the women's side. And I think the men just tend to be pretty lazy at asking, if I'm honest. I think so. And I would imagine, because she is a singles player, obviously she beat Qinwen Zheng in the first round here. That's a priority. Women's doubles is obviously a big priority, I would imagine. And she's a very sweet girl, but she's also not really out there. She's quite unassuming. I would imagine she probably then doesn't put herself out there too early as well. And I think the combination of those things means that, one, she always has a different partner, and two, she often doesn't have the best male partners, is my vision. And look, this is no disrespect to Sem, because Sem's a great player, and fair play to Sem, but there's a little bit of a mismatch you would look at there. Sem Verbeek playing with Siniakova, who's being probably clearly the best women's doubles player in the world for the last 5-6 years. So that's my theory, and I guess that's the one moving into the other one. I'll share a story. So Gabby Dabrowski had been out injured. This is how useless the men are. Gabby had been out injured for quite a few weeks, but she'd agreed with Nikola Mektic, who I also work with, to play at Wimbledon. And Nicola, when she first got injured, said to me, "Do you think she'll play Wimbledon?" I said, "If I'm honest, I don't think she will. But let's see. This is Gabby Dabrowski. Gabby's pretty special when it comes to, coming back from injuries. And anyway, it gets to a week before Wimbledon, or maybe even 5 days before Wimbledon, and Gabby texted me and said, "Dan, I can't believe you told Nicola that I wasn't playing Wimbledon. He'd agreed to play with Louisa Stefani." And I was like, "Well, I didn't tell him that. I might have mentioned that like 6, 7 weeks ago." She said, "Don't worry, it's all sorted now because her and Louisa are very good friends." And the girls got on the phone and basically were double dating Nikola Mektic. So once the girls had the conversation, they sorted it. Gabby was playing with Nicola, and Louisa very much understood that, but it was just Nicola being a bit lazy. He hadn't found out if she was playing. And I guess the ironic thing in that story is then Louisa then texted Joe Salisbury 2 days before the event, which is often Joe Salisbury. I see him around the signing quite often, along with a lot of the men. Does anyone fancy playing mixed doubles? And they've come together, and what a partnership they were as well. So it's really interesting how it does happen. But I'm not convinced that the men are quite putting themselves out there enough or early enough. Maybe it's an ego or pride thing. I don't know, but that's my little theory on Siniakova.
Yeah, I've heard from some coaches that not all, but a lot of the men value the mixed doubles less than the women do for some reason. Almost maybe even look down on it a little bit.
Maybe an ego.
I
It's
don't
an
know.
ego or pride thing. I
Yeah.
actually think the US. I think the US Open thing has actually kicked them into action a little bit more, because this was a very strong mixed doubles event. When you looked at the draw, it was like, whoa. And actually to see, and I'm going to call Eric Budarak out here. I love Eric, but I'm going to call him out here if he's listening. If not, we maybe need to send it to him. Look at the reaction of those players at the end of that mixed doubles, and look at the reaction of the teams in the crowd. Look at the tears. Look at what it means to them. Listen to Semver Beek's speech. Listen to Louisa Stefani's speech. This means so much to them. And as we get closer, actually, to the US Open mixed doubles, as much as I think it's a great concept in one regard, the closer it gets, the more I realize the fact that we're killing a Grand Slam opportunity and killing something that means so much and has so much raw emotion attached to it, the more I think it's a crazy, crazy idea that we're taking the slam away. And I would absolutely run this event, demonstration event, exhibition event, big money, get the big stars, shine the light on our sport. Amazing. Well done to Eric and the team. Love it. Fully behind it. But don't lose what it means. Because I'm telling you right now, if Carlos Alcaraz and Emma Raducanu win the mixed doubles at the US Open, there won't be a tear shed. And in any shape or form, and let's not forget how much this means to so many people.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think the biggest thing is we're not going to have the best doubles players in the world in the draw. So it's kind of weird to call it a Grand Slam if you don't even have the best players in the draw. One thing I've changed my mind on a little bit though, and I'm not sure the solution here, but I'm gonna kind of think out loud here, Dan. And I don't think I've shared this with you before, but having been back at home, so I live in Texas, having been back at home for Roland Garros and Wimbledon, watching in the mornings my time on TV, I'm not able to watch a ton of mixed doubles. So I'm kind of starting to wonder if there is some better solution to get it during, I don't know if it's fan week or some other time, because for me to keep up with men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles is just very, very difficult. And I'm having a lot of trouble with it, honestly, because people will reach out to me and say, "Did you see this mixed match?" And a lot of the time I'm finding myself saying, "No, I didn't get to see it because I was watching the men's and women's." So I'm trying to keep up with 3 draws. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm back.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes. Continue. Sorry.
Okay. So actually, I'd finished my thought, but like one thing I've kind of changed my mind on, and I'm still thinking through this kind of, but watching Roland Garros and Wimbledon at home, I have trouble watching men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles and keeping up with all three draws. So I am curious, like maybe there is a better placement or solution. And I don't know if it's during fan week or so do you do something else with the singles and doubles draws, but it is hard as a fan to keep up with all three of those during the tournament because people will ask me, "Did you watch this mixed match?" And I find myself often saying, "No, I didn't get to watch it because I am watching the men's match or the women's doubles match." So it's it looks like you dropped off here again. All right, I'll hop off here. Thanks, Dan, a ton for having me again. Hopefully, everyone can get to watch the rest of the Wimbledon doubles semifinals tomorrow, and then finals over the weekend. And yeah, we'll do it again soon. Really appreciate everything you do, and I will talk to you soon.